welcome you all this wonderful evening for BRATS one-to-one session. Today's session was supposed to be between Suresh sir, our BRATS captain, and Varun sir, but due to some emergencies, today's session is going to be between Varun sir and Inderjeet. Before we start, I would like you to introduce to BRATS. BRATS is an organization which is started to help students. It is basically aiming at building the gap between what is taught in institutions and real industry experiences. Now, I would like to introduce you to the Varun sir. Varun sir is a digital and sales professional with forte in revenue growth for new products. Currently, he is working with Head of Revenue and Growth MIQ. He has worked with companies such as Microsoft, Economics Online, Naukri.com, etc. And Inderjeet is one of our BRATS candidate, and he helped us working with BRATS. And currently, he's doing his further studies with Symbiosis Hyderabad. Today's session is one-to-one session. We are going to make it an interactive session. I request every one of you to ask as many as questions you have, either in the chat box or either by the way of asking yourself. So now we'll move forward to start with the session. Over to you, Inderjeet.
Thank you, Sonali. Thank you, sir, for coming up for the show. We are very delighted to have you, and I think all the marketeers will be privileged to have you today. Such a delighting topic, like seriously, brand marketing versus performance marketing. I am very sure a lot of people having a lot of questions today, and I'm going very clear about it that once this session gets over, you will be completely enlightened, because this is a very thin line between brand marketing and performance marketing. So without further ado, sir, we are good to start the session, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Firstly, I just want to thank everyone for taking out time to be here. Thanks to BRATS for inviting me for such a delightful session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks only for the quick introduction.
Right, sir. So probably everyone pick up your bags. We are going to start now. The digital platform for performance or brand advertising. What do you think? What sir think? What the world thinks? And what India thinks? Today, all the answers are going to be answered. All the questions are also to be answered. So without, so sir, as you know, as in the situation right now in the COVID era, sir, mostly all the brands or the marketing companies also are going towards digital marketing. Do you think digital marketing is going to take over traditional marketing? And are the happy days for marketeers have arrived finally, sir?
There are. I definitely feel that digital gonna kick off really big this time, because a couple of old traditional platforms have fallen, like print. The people have subscribed to the print, especially the newspaper and magazines, have gone down drastically. People are not getting out, so outdoor is affected badly. Television still in up and down because there is no new content on GEC space. However, news is still covering up that thing. But yeah, so considering all that backlog, I would say digital would pick up a lot. I would see at least another 10 to 20x of momentum would pace up right now. That's already been seen in last 2 months also, because the preferred platform would turn to digital. But however, the pre-COVID and post-COVID, the way digital as a platform works would also change. It wouldn't be the same. Everything would be new. Like the client, the spend pattern would change, the requirement or the objective of the campaign, or the way they look at marketing efficiencies as well as the end results, the KPI of the campaign. That would be far more precise and object-oriented compared to what it was 4 months back.
So as you are saying, sir, the way of marketing will probably change. So do you think the role of empathy, or precisely saying the role of emotion in case of performance or brand marketing, will come into a much important action or in a much bigger role right now? How emotion will be playing a major role in performance and brand marketing, sir?
Firstly, I wouldn't bifurcate performance and brand in larger way, because as you rightly said, there is a thin line difference, right? The thin line is something which it's tough to define, what's the difference between a brand and a performance, especially when a client, like I'll give you certain use cases, just making it simple there. So when you ask for what is exactly performance, that is you expect an end result, right? It can be a conversions, it can be a lead, it can be an acquisitions or app installs or anything of that sort. That is where we call it as a performance. However, in pre-COVID also, today also, in fact, any client who is doing a brand campaign, which is hypothetically the way they buy the medium through CPM or a CPC model, which is the objective is to reach and frequency. But there is an end metric what they look at it to define the performance of a platform or a partner what they work around. Be it they would have, though they would have run a brand campaign with a partner or platform, but back end they look at how many visits have arrived, how many people are converted out of it, what kind of bounce rate or time spent happened, and they evaluate a partner or platform based on that. So every campaign, I would say, have an objective of a performance. The only thing is it's a thin line difference whether what is a priority. But I would say depending on your KPI, the campaign has to be defined accordingly, because if you run a brand campaign and expect a performance out of it, you might not be the right way to do it. So I think you need to set the right goals before the campaign, and based on that, the strategy or implementation or execution should be done. Else, it wouldn't go in the right metric.
As you mentioned, sir, the metrics does define. So do you think the advent of tracking, which is very easy, I would say, right now with the FB ads or even Google ads, marketing can easily find out where the sales are going. It's very easy to find out right now. So do you think that is actually killing the relevance of brand marketing per se? Like, it's very easy to understand who is clicking, who is buying your products now with the Google ads and Facebook ads. So do you think it still a bigger issue and the people are looking into short-term goal rather than long-term goal?
Okay, so tracking always been the benefit, for a digital platform, because that is where multiple ways, right? First is helping out to reach out to the right audience. Second thing is in terms of exactly tracking the conversions through analytics and etc. So tracking always been an upper hand for digital as a platform. However, I would say there is still a black box in between, as you mentioned about the Facebook ads and Google ads and etc. Because in certain ecosystem, the tracking or implementation works in silos. Like you can't compare a performance of holistically. You can look at what worked well, whether first Facebook given you maximum leads or Google given you maximum leads or any other external platforms given you leads. But if you look at reach or a frequency of overall reach of the platform, you can't compare between the platforms, because Facebook have their own method of reporting and targeting. At the same time, Google got it, and there is no unified way of doing between Google, Facebook, and other external platforms. So that would be a limitation in terms of to track and optimize unified model of within the platform. So when you run a campaign on Facebook with certain audience segments, because if you're running it on certain TG, it might work on Facebook. It's not necessary that the same TG might work on Google or any other external platform. So that would be that is a current limitation, but I see probably in months or in a year it should have some kind of external third-party validation and reporting.
Right. So do you think content plays a bigger role in this context?
Yeah, absolutely. Content is a king, right? If you look at it, why user coming to platforms? So why, let's go back. Why people used to buy newspaper or watch TV or consume internet? Everything is content. So content plays a vital role in today's life, and the content consumption, especially on digital, the content consumption have gone up by 50x in last 3 months, especially with COVID, people consuming more through online, because most of them unsubscribe to newspapers and etc. And they consume that kind of e-papers or any of the things through online, right? So the content consumption plays a vital role, and it's only here to grow, But only thing is, now within the content, initially, like if I go back a decade back, it was content was one category, but now within the content there are multiple branches, sub branches, which, like for example, video started becoming a lot. Now, if you ask me within the content, I think voice and video would be the next big thing. Video is already a big thing, in fact, but that is here to grow very big. So the consumption, especially post Geo, where the internet cost has gone down, the accessibility has increased, the amount of new users have gone up by almost 75% in last 3 years, right? And average consumption on a video, the latest report says that initially it was around 25 to 30 minutes of a user average video consumption per day. It has gone up to almost 2 hours a day, kind of stuff. So the content, of course, the only thing is the content diversification play a role here, and having the right content, that matters a lot. Now if you see us content is important or not, I don't think that's valid. Having the right content is more important.
You were saying that diversification of the content is very important and it's more crucial right now. So I think we have a question here. Someone was raising their hand. Yes, carry on, please. We have a question, right? Okay. So I think we have lost him. Once he gets, we can back him. So, sir, one of your points you said about video.
I'll just add one more point just to help you with that content part, right? Now, content creation plays a role. At the same time, accessibility of the content also is very important. When you create on your website and it is not accessible through SEO and other platforms, then there's no point of having that content. So when users search for it, or when the user want to consume that particular content, it has to be accessible as well. So that's also an important role, that how interactive are you making for the users to consume that content.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Suresh. Hi, how are you?
Good, Varun. How are you?
Glad you did it.
Yeah, because thanks. I wanted to be there, but couldn't be. Also, okay. So there's something which you said is very important, which actually connected. Audio, video is going to be future, where content and this kind of segment, when we are seeing, it's already touched about $500 billion industry already, where video content is already touched about $400 billion. But if you're looking at the kind of content we create, that's video content, it's a span of control, span of attention is actually decreased to 6 seconds also now, because that's that kind of content which is coming to grab the attention and put across. The 6-second ads also we are seeing on Insta and wherever. But when we are looking at content towards creating on YouTube, where that actually getting increased about, as you said, 2 hours or something like that. So how do you define this? Supposedly, if I want to monetize, and I'm a YouTuber, I want to monetize my content on YouTube. How do you what do we need to supposed to focus on the content to grab that attention for that long? Of course, because the short videos doesn't give easily, because you need to cross 1,000 hours, then only you would be able to monetize your video. To keep the attentive, how keywords will help, and what kind of a trending topics we need to use, and what we should not be using. So if you can give me some kind of an idea about it, that would be great.
I think okay, let me give you a very interesting learning what I had. So when you say that attention span has gone down, rightly said, it's a very interesting topic you bring it up. That's true, because attention span has gone down, because the reason why it is not, the right content is not going to the right user at the end of the day, right? When that is very important in terms of connecting the user what they're looking for and reach out to the right content as well, right? When you talk about ads, usually it's a push communication. When you are running an ad through platforms on YouTube and etc. Hence, the attention span is lower. But however, I'll give you an experience of what I had almost a year back. Last year, similar same time, almost back in July, I was in Boston for an event called Global Video Summit. So there was across all the countries, folks were there in terms of talking about the YouTube content developers were there, technology partners, platforms, and etc. And this was one very interesting topic which came up in terms of whether it's a short video or it's a long format or short format. What is the future? And till then I was always in favor of short format, because I believe that attention span is lower, and you need to convey the right message within the short span of time. That would make a brand more engaging. but it actually went vice versa. Was an eye opener for me. There was several case studies which came out in terms of videos which talking about how you would have watched a video like one of the example, there was like a watermelon, people are putting just rubber band on top of it, and that particular user went online live and just saying that how many rubber band needed to burst a watermelon live kind of stuff. And you don't believe almost a million user was watching live for that, because it creates a curiosity, it creates a anxiety within the user that how it's going to happen, I want to see how it's going to happen kind of stuff. So a video or a content which interacts and create an uh, uh, create an interest within the user, I think that would work. It's when you, if as a YouTuber, if you just want to create, or okay, I have a target of creating 10 videos a day, let me create whatever is coming in front of me, it will not, you'll be a failure. You need to find out the right, first thing is, who are your audience, who are your subscribers, whether they're what are their interests, understand that is very important. And if you talking about, like, let's look at on other way around, you're projecting yourself as probably a auto enthusiast or a sports or a fitness or entertainment, arts, so you profile yourself in a different category, right? That's the reason probably you have followers based on that. Then get deeper into it, get deeper more towards, because that is a one core focus where user is coming to or following you, right? So, or cooking or anything of that sort. So how uh, what is a better way to engage and interactive, that is how your content should focus. And you are an auto enthusiast, and one fine day you decide that I'll talk about yoga, it might not go well. So that is what I would say. And there is nothing right and wrong in content, because for any content you create or any category of content or a format of content, there is a consumer to watch. But it's only matter that whether who are your followers or your subscribers. Based on that, you need to follow that.
Super. So there is one final question from my end. So can we launch a brand on digital?
Yes, there are. Okay, let me put it this way. So this been a myth always for years, right? There are different kind of perceptions which come to play that I like to be I like to do digital ad, but however I think TV plays a role, or any offline plays a platform where it gives me far more mileage and top of the mind recall and etc. If you look at it in a way, it's true on one side of it. If you talk about television and talking about my television had given an impact, but on the backside, if you look at that kind of cost, what you have invested in that platform, the TV is at almost like a 10x cost to digital in a way, when you talk about the buying and reach and frequency look at put together, right? So in that standpoint, if you set up a campaign rightly on digital, of course digital can play it and to help you to launch very well. So there are a lot of brands today who are digital only brands. The people, the clients are moving only digital, digital first format. So if you look at it, I'm spending almost a 10 cr on TV, and I'm spending almost 50 lakhs on digital, and then expect same kind of response. That's not going to happen.
So,
Thanks, Varun.
content plays a great role now. Is a king. Content is a king. That's a noteworthy point which has been taken from this question. Probably. I think Yokesh wanted to ask something, right? Yokesh, do we have Yokesh? So,
Let's continue.
going a bit off-beat, probably, you're saying about digital platform. Do you think sir, audio platform do plays a role? I think even Shawan, Ghana.com or Shawan, sorry, Shawan, okay, my S pronunciation is a bit problematic. So Shawan or Ghana, there are a lot of marketing tools which on they say keep on saying you can advertise here, you can brand here. So do you think even audio marketing does playing a bigger role, and how do you put it across?
Okay, so firstly, let me put it this way: audio is not just music. One very interesting thing what we seen growing up recent times is a podcast, and podcast is picking up. Podcast been there in the West market for longest time, but however in India, it started. I would say at least last 6 months it's actually picked up really well in terms of people consuming podcasts. People, because they want to do probably hypothetically in kitchen or anything else and continue listening to it, because they don't want to invest probably driving or anything of that sort. So podcast is something which is growing at a very large pace in audio space. So considering podcast plus music plus now audio devices and etc., audio would grow a lot. Now audio advertising, again, I would say there is some next level of engagement which is needed to connect with audio, because initial days when audio started, audio advertisement was all about resonating into radio, the way radio is done. Let's do it on audio platforms and etc. And that's not going to work, because every platform got its own format or way of working. So if you're looking at and this, I can say an example, almost 14 years back when I started in digital, it was like the ads creative which used to come to me was either an outdoor creative or a print creative. That PSD file used to send to us and asking us to adapt into digital, just crop it and optimize into digital kind of. So that's how it used to happen almost a decade and half back. And that's exactly in a way which I see in audio space. Mostly send an audio file, it's a radio creative, adapt into digital. So I think that need to change more, and when you're looking at an audio advertising, you need to make it again an interactive way of one is customizing and make it interactive. That would play a vital role.
So the podcast is, for my knowledge, Varun, this was created about 500 million in 2008, the revenue only from podcast globally.
Absolutely.
And expected by 2021 they need to reach only podcasting, talking about $1 billion kind of a revenue which is expected from podcasts. So it's a big business, as you said. Yes, universally, which is already there, but now the sound cloud and all that, which is just happening in India, we just started now, because a lot of people
that's what, yeah.
That is something very big now, and which is really, radio also. If you look at it, it's all podcasts. It's not just music, but yes, every audio comes into podcast and doing really well. Yes, future, of course. If someone wants to, explore their careers also in podcasts, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So actually, surprised me. There are a couple of podcast studios people are setting up at home and other, external render studios kind of stuff for converting the content, the offline content into online in a way, kind of stuff, audio. So that's a very interesting space to be. Honestly, I haven't got deeper into it in terms of the advertising format and etc. I never got an opportunity to work any of that platform. But yes, as a person who know from close by kind of stuff, it's a very interesting thing. I'm happy to see. And
yeah. So whoever have that, camera lovers, so they can come on TikTok, and which used to be, but camera shy people, there are a lot of them already there here also. They can go for the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way the content consumption also is changing, right? People are there to listen to you, especially one is if you want to read a 150 page of book, you don't have that much time. People, you're distracted, so you usually put in a headset, listen to it, go for jog, or, continue working in your kitchen or anything of that sort, or just arrange your wardrobe, listen to it. So you're always consuming the content in between, multitasking in a way. So that's also scope of podcast will increase. I think currently also, if you look, the latest numbers also say the wider penetration is from metros, but I think it's within no time it'll get into tier 1, tier 2, and other cities where people start consuming from there, and will have a larger penetration in that space.
Sir, if I understand you correctly, if content is a king, probably audio marketing is a kingmaker probably in the near future. Sir. Is it correctly mentioned?
Audio and video, everything is a content end of the day, right?
No.
Only the different of way people consume.
So you need to understand digital in a very different way. So digital comes with podcasts and audio and videos, and there are several parameters you need to explore. Right. Supposedly you guys are actually thinking of digital to explore their careers also. It is not, one social media which is there. There are several layers which is actually open now. And thanks to COVID, which is again explored digital into many ways. I think Varun can throw some lights over there. If people want to explore digital in the career, Varun can actually throw some lights.
I'll put it in other way around, in fact. So just want to understand, firstly, before you do, first thing is to understand what is that or where you're getting into, right? So again, rightly what Suresh mentioned is digital is a very, very much diversified platform. And there are many things which is now initially it was just a social search and display. That's how in the display used to be categorized or almost 5 to 6 or more than that years back. But however, that have changed drastically now. So you have social, within social, Facebook is separate, you have other engagement platforms, you have chatbots and etc., which comes under social. Then comes search, in a way pretty much remains the same overall. Display, again, it categorized into banners, video, audio, and within that there is a subcategory of programmatic, affiliates, publishers. So it goes on, and this is outer look. Within that, again, at the back end you have DMPs, technologies like, for example, artificial intelligence and machine learning playing a vital role in terms of the ad which is thrown. And now, as we're speaking about different kind of ads, I'll just give you a quick sense of how it works, right? You guys all consume different kind of websites, right? When you open a site, the time, like hypothetically imagine you ndtv.com, you're pressing enter and the site is loading is just few seconds, right? If you notice, everything appear on the site within few seconds. Within that few seconds, when you the time you press the site, first thing is that send an ad request, because any ad before popping on the screen for you, there's a backend called ad request. So site send an ad request to a supply side platform, right? And supply side platform identify you as a user. Who are you? Like your IP address, your cookie ID, or if you're using a mobile, your device ID, IDFA, etc. Map it to the DMPs, platforms, and etc., and see whether there's on the other side, the advertiser would be setting up a campaign that, okay, I want to target male or female age group between 20 to 30, based out of Mumbai, interested in buying cosmetics and shopping and etc., so on and so forth. And that would be set up at a DSP level, or a RTP level. Now the supply side platform passes this ping to a DMP. It will be filtered through a DMP and any kind of third party ad verification platforms, and the DSP map the request which is coming. And you need to see that when you are entering, at the same time there are millions of users using internet from different sites, from different platforms, and etc. All this getting channelized, and they map that, okay, particular device ID or user is mapped to this requirement of XYZ client, and then ad is sent with the trackers and etc., and it pops up on your site. And this all happened within the time you press enter and the site loads. So it actually tentatively it passes almost like around 80 to 90 minimum platforms through the ad request and bidding. So and it's also bid on the pricing, that whether the website asking for a certain price and the advertiser is ready to pay up a certain price or not, kind of stuff. So that's how fast and comprehensive the technology is all about. So I just made it very simple so that you guys will be able to resonate with the kind of activity you do on a daily basis.
That was in fact very simple, sir. So we have a question from Ujjal, sir. Brands were dependent on sensories, more so experimental marketing for their existence, and not able to synergize with their digital environment. So what do you think they should do, and how they should transit and embrace a digital medium? So give me some
sorry,
examples.
can you just repeat? I couldn't hear you in between.
So brands which were depending on sensories, so more so experimental marketing for their existence, are not able to synergize with the digital environment. It was giving example of construction, interior companies, or building. So what are those industries should do, or how can they embrace a digital medium?
Okay, so advertising or engaging with the user is not all about spending monies. Also, there are initial days. It's not necessary that you need to spend millions of dollars and etc. to buy the audience or etc. So it's only about what does that. So there are a lot of right practices what one need to follow, and of course there is it changes from category or advertiser or the product or solutions what they're looking at. But I can talk about different brands who actually start up and building without spending a penny on social media, creating a social fan followers, and then doing it. There are people who are selling products through WhatsApp, without even having a business account. So it's only about that, understanding the right way and who are your users, and setting up initial. And once you have the base or the initial pickup happening, then expand. The expansion is where you need to put in money to get a wider audience reach and engagement, etc. So I think that would be in a way look at it as a step 2. Once you cover up the step 1 and make some penny out of it.
I was actually a little linguistic about one thing when you're saying that within a fraction of a second we have to have that guest or we have to buy, performance marketing. There are 3 stages of performance marketing. Once they're plugging and then they are there into the system platform, and then from there they are buying. So those 3 stages, sir, how do you think personalization of these 3 stages, how that come into those?
So personalization is not on the stage wise. Personalization happens at the pre-bid when as I mentioned, in terms of a user coming on website or in the publisher or platforms, and an advertiser buying that inventory, right? Let me give you an example. So when you're doing a performance optimization, it also optimizes based on the pixel. So pixel is something which helps you to pass back the data from that particular website. Now, hypothetically, imagine I'm doing a performance campaign for a client XYZ, right? Now they have different pages, the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, the way you mentioned. Now we place a pixel, which pixel is nothing but a tracker, the way simplified term, on different pages. So it helps me to understand that the user landed up on different pages, kind of stuff, and whether they have drop out or not. Right? So initially, what I'll do is I segment like what is the product all about. Now, whether I'm doing a performance campaign for a credit card or a bank or a FMCG product or an automobile or a consumer durables and etc. There's a predefined segment or audience bucket need to be done, because if I'm targeting an FMCG brand, it need to target females. What is the product TG is all about? The age, gender and location, etc. Then initial campaign setup need to be done at a bidding level, and based on that, I buy inventory. Now, if you talk about a cosmetic brand, every female between 20 to 30 is not that person who's going to buy that particular brand, right? Brand
Exactly.
So first initial level, you target, of course, 20 to 30 age group and the people who intend to buy groceries and etc. All kind of demographics, interest, and intent targeting. But however, as a next level, or next stage, you see that how many users who targeted landed up on your site or on the client site, and from there, what is the kind of time spent they do, whether they're interacting and moving to the page 2 or after that page 3 kind of stuff, because that shows that interest of the user. Or is it just a time pass browsing kind of stuff, or they are the right TG or not? Now, within a span of a week or 2 weeks kind of stuff, we'll get a sense of understanding that, okay, I have sent almost 1,000 users. Out of 1,000 users, 300 users end up in page 3, 200 in page 2, or 100 in page 1, and rest is drop out in the initial landing page itself. So the last segment who covered would be my potential TG, right? Now, looking at that user, what are their interests, where they're from, what are their profiles? Because every user who are on internet got a profile in internet space based on your unified ID. It can be a cookie ID or a device ID, etc. And that profiling of the user, we create a lookalike of that audience. So enhancing the campaign with lookalike of similar potential audience, and then target the next 1,000 clicks or users from that targeting, so that initially you would have got 300 conversions. By refining the targeting, your target conversions would go up to 600, 700. So that's how it helps to optimize the performance campaign.
Crystal clear understanding, sir. I'm completely clear. So even one of your suggesting that even AI or ML or automation in performance segment is coming into a major role. So do you support complete automation or a little bit of manual automation plus machine automation would be there? So how do you see that there, because already FB ads or certain ads are there, when it's going to complete for complete automation. So it happens. Yes, sir.
No, so there's never going to be complete automation, at least in the near future. I would put forth right that way, right? Automation plays a role, of course. AI and ML plays a vital role in terms of optimization. The way I put forth that lookalike and targeting the particular TG who are converting and who are not converting, dropping out, and etc. AI play audience segmentation and prediction. So the way we call it as a prediction algorithm, right? That plays a role in terms of suggesting the what PG is going to be and how it's going to be, and etc. But initial segment, I would say when we start the campaign, initially. The way I look for, especially in India market specifically, we need to have a manual intervention kind of stuff, because uh, uh, the audience profile. So India is a very diversified market, right? We have different languages, we have different market, have different kind of audience penetration of internet and etc. So considering that every region or every market have certain kind of behavior and certain kind of what do you say, the way they consume content, etc. So considering that basic intelligence or understanding need to be there, and to initially set up the campaign, which will help to optimize the wastage of inventory a lot, right? So initially, if you go with a, I'll give you a comparison. If you go with a automated model or mode from the day one, the wastage of inventory will be completely higher than a manual intervention in the earlier days. And once the campaign is set up, like after 10 days, 15 days, and only the manual intervention is only to look at it, the top line, whether it's going the right direction or is there any kind of changes which need to be done. Else, it can go on autopilot mode.
If I understand you correctly, sir, the synergy will always be there. Complete automation plus automation, the synergy will be there.
Yeah, it's again the way I mentioned. Like for example, I'll give an example of one of the automobile client which I worked for in UK market and India market. In UK, overall UK market, the TG who are planning to buy that audience, or audience who are planning to buy the particular car, it's a premium SUV car, are very defined. You know, it's an educated or XYZ category of user having X salary income, and currently having X category of sedan or an SUV who planning to upgrade. So that particular TG is defined, very interestingly defined, and an automation can happen there from the day one. But hypothetically in India, we can't implement only that format. If you look at only an education class today, SUV, almost 30 to 35% of the person who buying a high-end premium car are a businessman who probably never had gone to school. You know, so a TG of you go to an educated level and etc. might not be the right way of looking at setting up an automation here. So we need to look at manual intervention in terms of which market, or probably the way the Punjab behaves versus Karnataka to Tamil Nadu to Kolkata to Madhya Pradesh. Every market have a different kind of behavior and understanding. And there are certain markets where that initial conversion can happen and extend to the other markets kind of stuff. So that kind of optimization would work really well when you have a manual intervention in the early days.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. So we have a bit awkward question from Smith Thakur asking, sir, how a company or individual can be feeling secured about the personal data or privacy issues? Can a company face issues regarding the data security?
So data security being a very what do you say, one of the most discussed topic probably in 2019, and in UAE market. So globally, GDPR is only probably compliant and favoring data privacy and security bill in the world. In US also, we don't have any kind of such deeper privacy rules, and GDPR, especially for the EU region. And there are companies which or region are based out of that region, follow the GDPR compliance globally. But however, in India, we still don't have a privacy security ruled by the government. But of course, the bill, they have already submitted a bill, and they were still waiting for the bill to get passed. And it's pretty much similar to what GDPR is all about. But I believe it will still take at least 6 to 7 months time, or probably in the next parliament session where this will be a part of the bill. So if that passes, then I think then we'll be compliant to every kind of privacy and security. However, the platform level, it already started happening. Like Google, Apple being one of the pioneer in this space, have taken a global stand on ITP, as well as IDFA blocking and etc. So that in a way restrict a lot of that gives control to the consumer whether your data, or you have two kind of data. One is there's a PI data which is called personal identifier, and there's a data which tracks based on the backend, which based on your behavior online, what kind of content you consume, what kind of apps you use, kind of stuff. So that is something which there is no restriction at all on non-PI data. PI data still all reputed companies by default follow and make sure that there's a restriction on the PI collection, which includes your name, email address, mobile number, your Aadhaar number, PAN card, and etc. data, numbers, and etc. Right? But so far, legally, we don't have any rule on this. But yeah, as I said, there are platforms and companies who take necessary measures for that.
Varun, hi, this is Abhishek.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi. As you said, there is something called PI data, which companies collect. So how they collect it? They directly ask the consumer to fill it up or something like that,
Yeah,
or
so
it's
PI
automated?
No, PI data comes in 2-3 ways. One is like, for example, your data, which is with a telecom partner, your data with an insurance or a banking companies, e-commerce. So most of the e-commerce by default will have your mobile number and email address, your address for deliveries and etc. So this is all your PI data. So,
All right.
and there are, I can't name, but there are companies when they're in the verge of shutting down, they sold this data to platforms, or companies.
Right.
And some large
I have made this observation. I will also not take the name, but I will tell you an example, and everybody will be an example actually to relate this. That there used to be a job hunting website. After that website, after a few years of operating, that website is nowadays not doing what it was doing earlier. Okay. Now I have observed in my inbox, I receive a lot of advertisement related emails. Okay, which if you go to, if I have digged in and see from where this email is coming exactly, so I have seen that that job searching website is actually diverting all those advertisements into my inbox. So this is, I think, best example, as you said. There are a lot of companies who sell this data also, but we
yeah,
don't have
quite a lot. There is a term, and it probably can be have a larger session on the world called darknet.
darknet.
This is all part of that. It's very one of my favorite interesting topic.
All right.
So
Okay.
data privacy, as I said, now when in e-commerce selling the data or any other company who have the data is selling it, there is no restriction, there is no rule to bound them or stop them right now. But yeah, sooner or later we might come, which will be
Right.
quite a good one. So that is on
Right.
the PI data. So, but that is something you are giving away, right? It is not
Yes.
something is taken
Yes.
from you end of the day, right? That is
Okay.
probably filling up form, and that is actually, I would put it, unknowingly taking it from you. Let me put it that way.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
your intent was not to for that advertisement or somebody to target you. Your intent was you're taking a bank account, opening a bank account, or you're opening a profile in e-commerce website or anything. You have a different objective when you do so. But however, they misusing it is where without your consent is something which is not. Being strong contender in terms of restricting that, there is a lot of changes because they already went blocking cookies through Safari and Mozilla
Yes.
almost around a year back. And
Yes. Yes.
today,
Yes.
recently, they're blocking the IDFA, or they're giving more controls to the user to give a consent to the apps to share the IDFA. So that by all this, I think there are a lot of spamming would get reduced and unnecessarily identified through any other such platforms also that could be blocked.
Right. Varun, I have one more question actually. See, when we are talking about advertisement, digital advertisements, right? There is a very big role about in-app advertisements, right?
Yes.
Right. So, I was reading this interesting thing where Mr. Nandan Nilekani was asked that why don't India make an app similar to TikTok when TikTok got banned, actually, just after that he was asked. Then he made a statement that India can make this app. Probably a final year student can also make it. That doesn't matter, but uh, making that app and making a business out of it in India is very challenging, he said. And the main reason he cited in that small statement that India is right now not ready for that digital transformation, or I can say the it cannot give you that kind of revenues which you can expect from digital advertising in India. And he compared that thing with US and China. He also said that, for example, TikTok, TikTok's most of the revenue share through in-app advertisement used to come from US and China alone. It was hardly 7% or 10% from India. Uh, so as you said, digital advertising becoming a very big market. So how you will, there are two contradicting things which is happening. Mr. Nilekani is saying that India is still not ready for it. There is a long way to go, and we see, much of digitization is happening around us right now, post COVID especially.
Okay, so I'll absolutely what he said is right in one the way he's looking at. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So there first is India. The number of users, internet users, have surpassed 500 million. Right,
Yes.
93% of the internet users today are through mobile, and which is predominantly by in-app advertising or in-app traffic which comes to the platforms. Right, so in-app plays a vital role in overall advertising metric. Now, when you look at advertising model, so there are millions of companies today who are their only revenue form is advertising. Of TikTok, how it was, and if you want to make it in India with a similar scale, the revenue what's going to come out of it would be, because India as a market is one of the cheapest ad market in the world.
Okay.
In
Okay.
US, so we hardly pay almost around one third of what, not even one third, around 15% of what probably US is spending, kind of stuff. So our CPMs, so we call the ad inventory in the CPM metric, right? CPMs are in minuscule today, in very comparatively less than or half a dollar, or almost a dollar pricing, which is there. So where in other market, any of the market is averaged to $4, $5, UK, US, and other markets. So considering
Okay.
that standpoint, the technology cost, the ad serving cost, or what do you say, the internet bandwidth cost, and etc., is pretty much same what you need to what is there in US and what is in India and other market. But however, the ad revenue is not coming too much, then it's not, end of the day, it's not justifying in terms of the reach. So TikTok was shot at almost a 300 million plus users, right? So if you want
Yes.
to make it to that scale, the cost or the investment, what you need to do, you might not make or return, because TikTok in India, ByteDance, the company, the parent company, was in investment mode, right? And India, so hence for their primary objective was to acquire more users. And with the global structuring, they, if not from India, they can make money from other markets for Indian audience and etc. If that was the larger play. But so what Mr. Nilekani mentioned is rightly said. With India, if you look at that scale of app, might not grow, only on advertising mode.
Right. Because yes, he made this point that the major revenue source was advertisements, and in-app advertisement in India right now it's not so mature that it will give you that kind of revenues.
In-app advertising is matured, but the revenue or potential of revenue is not up to that.
Okay.
I would
Right.
put it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For technology, in terms of adaptation of technology, in terms of India as a market is far, I would say very compared. So initially, if technology in the US, for an hypothetical ad serving almost a decade back, India, after a couple of years, it came to India. But today, even there's any kind of technology standpoint stack which is happening in US or UK market or other market, it within a few days, there will be a company or any kind of platforms in India which adapt to it and start using it. So
Right.
the adaptation of the tech is not an issue. The major issue is where it comes from, the ad revenue.
Ad revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Because the size
Thank
of
you.
the market, India overall ads, if you look at the ADX report, India is what, 10 to 12 billion dollar market of overall ad revenue, out of which digital is 2 billion dollar ad revenue, where
That's it.
US is 100 billion plus on digital, or overall. So that there is there's the potential in that market, US, Canada, and other markets, and etc. is very different from India that way. But yeah, we are growing in a larger pace. we see huge potential, and sooner or later we should be there.
Right. Thank you, Varun.
I think one question always arises, and I think on different platforms we must come across this question. When anyone start to develop or want to make a company or something, they want to ask whether they should invest more in performance marketing or brand marketing. And even if they're investing, so how much they should go for. So again, putting it the same question, sir. How much they should invest in performance marketing or brand marketing, and how that calculation is done, sir.
I would say when you're starting a company, your objective shouldn't be performance or brand marketing. Your potential should be reaching out to the user, creating an awareness first. Because when you're new, without awareness, you can't succeed. And firstly, actually, I would take a step back here. Put that what is the goal of the particular startup? Whether they want to grow in long term, or they want to grow in sustainable mode, or they want to be in that so-called startup mode where just want to grow within few months and then become a clueless kind of thing, so or being a blind spot later. So that objectives define a lot. Now if you're going with an investors, having a seed fund, and then going at to acquire and grow at 100 million users in next 3 months, then of course you need to go with performance, because there is no way otherwise you can reach the target, right? But if you want to be in the space where you want audience or the people to get noticed, and you want to grow sustainable mode, I think then the strategy has to create and engage. So that is, so it's completely depending on what you look at. What is your business plan, what is your business strategy, and what kind of products and solutions you have. Because in business, one thing which I can tell you is there is no set formats. So if you listen to 10 successful CEOs or founders, everyone have a different kind of experience, and the way they made it is with different challenges they've gone through, multiple objectives, and landed up here hypothetically. Like Flipkart, they started as a book selling platform, and today they are not selling books at all. So the change happens a lot in the way you look at. So as a business, I would say it's not about whether you do performance marketing or whether you do brand marketing. What you need to focus is whether what you're doing, whatever your product and solution is all about, whether that is creating a value within the users base, and be open to hear feedback, and based on the feedback make necessary changes what think is required. That would help to grow. And because once your product and solutions is good, by default it will be a booster, or to grow, because there are companies grown without advertising also. But it's all depending on what is that end objective, what you're looking at. Advertising plays a vital role, yes, but you need to know when is it needed. If your product and solutions is not right, like hypothetically imagine you are an app company, you're an e-commerce or any kind of application, your app have faults, you haven't done a right kind of QC, and it is crashing, and you haven't done a load test, and etc. And then you're doing a marketing, it will be a waste of money, right? Because you acquired at a go, you are having some 100,000 users on the platform, and your app got crashed. So you need to be ready with your objective in the backend first. Yeah.
I think everyone should note it.
Sorry, Indra, I couldn't hear you. I think we lost him. Yeah. Indra, can you hear me? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
So I think everyone should note it down that your goal, your sustainability, what is your thought process, that actually defines your company. So it is not any marketer or any individual or any entrepreneur can tell you what you should do. It's upon you what you want to do and how you do. Sir, again, we hope that the situation becomes better with we get a vaccine or something. But a lot of marketers, a lot of people are thinking about two questions which is arising of the mind. After post-COVID, will the consumer go for conspicuous buying or revenge consumption? That we didn't have burgers for a long period of time, we'll have and grab it. Or they will think about, no, burgers was bad, so we'll not have it for time period. So they will go for conspicuous marketing, or, again, full-on revenge consumption.
It's tough to say, because this only matter with the brand and the product kind of stuff, right? Because lots of things we saw probably in last 2 months, we expected that how things change kind of stuff, and it actually not. A lot of things are going up, a lot of things are going down. No one thought Ludo King would be the one of the mostly wide used app 6 months back, kind of stuff, right? So things are unprecedented and unpredicted in a way, so that we can't really say that whether it's go with a revenge consumption or, because one is, I wouldn't say that it wouldn't go a revenge consumption for a reason, because the challenge or the issue what we're facing is not something with a deadline. We don't know when it's going to change or when is things going to get better, or whether it can have a gradual change or it can have a one day. It's not going to happen a one day change at all. It's not going to happen that okay, for tomorrow everything is opened up, life is normal, there is no virus anymore. That's not going to happen. So it's only going to be a gradual change, and based on that, there would be the user. There will be a certain segment of user getting out. Like today, hypothetically in Mumbai, also there is lockdown, but there are certain people who are out. There are people not getting out, kind of stuff. So the buying pattern and consumption completely depends on how things would change. So it's too early to predict whether it's gonna have a revenge or it's gonna convert otherwise.
So it will be a slow, steady process where the people again will not be the post situation. They will again have a very thoughtful process before buying anything. As you see. Now, this is very personal to me, sir. There are a lot of ideas, a lot of thought process comes flowing in. Like once we get into the mobile, a lot of also updated with the new ideas and portals we follow on a daily basis, sir. So it will be helpful for us like juniors, we'll be following on the yours footstep, and that could actually help us to grow.
Okay, so I don't like literally follow a certain set of publishers or platforms on a daily basis kind of stuff. Yeah, but I consume daily news and daily market updates and daily industry-wise news and technology space and etc. And that too from multiple content. So one thing which I would suggest to people is, like, for example, when you have a conversation, when you hear something, be open to understand, and don't when you have a doubt, when you, like, for example, when you hear few terminologies like the recent time, what is ITP, or what we need to call it about IDFA blocking, etc., anything of that sort. When you hear, if you didn't understand, if you don't know about it, don't keep that as a question mark in your head. Always go back, understand what is it. You probably you're shy to ask question in front of others, but make sure that you go back, you yourself do a research and understand what it's all about, and that would help you to gain more knowledge and understanding of what's happening around. So I think that is what helped me to go, because I'm not from a tech background. I never though I was a science student earlier, but then completely moved to business side, and never been in tech space. But still, I honestly don't know how the prediction algorithm and the ML structure and algorithm works and etc. But when I have a doubt, when I see there is something which connects with my daily activity of my business or anything of that sort, I may go back with the relevant people, ask them, buy some time from them to clear my doubts. Probably it can be a petty or very a foolish doubt, but still I make sure that I clear that, because it shouldn't be in my head as a question mark.
Actually, noteworthy point you picked out that we feel that a lot of information flowing in is actually pouring in. It's a push follow, not a pull or idea. So it's a push which is getting in your mind. But if you think in a more perspective manner, actually a lot of information flowing in, but then it's a strategy. It's actually a play path where you can put in one information, then again you can go dig in if you have that intuition. So that will allow you to have a research idea completely. So you just don't have one source. You have multiple sources. Go through it. So it's not just you're having idea, certain things are coming in. Don't take it just like that. You should have your own research methodology or ideas to actually have a better. And you have all that because internet is there for you.
Exactly.
If I understood.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, because everyone, your interest would be very different versus my interest. The way I do it, or so it all matters about what instinct you have and what you want to look for. So based on that, it should kind of, again, as I said, there is no white and black in business rules, right? Nobody giving exact rule that if you do this you will be successful in business, and if you do this you will be failure. And every business or every format always have certain kind of, when you need to go think out of the box, you need to go out of way to make it happen. So there's always a new case study and new learnings happen. But yeah, if you have similar thing, always adapt and learn to others. Don't look at only the success stories, you hear the failures as well, because that will help you to make a decision better.
Very insightful, sir. So with that, my katha is done. Like I am done with all my questions. So guys, if you have any question, this is the right time. I think we have the best person today. We have a lot of which has been answered, but have your intuition, and if you still feel like sir is there along with us, this is the right platform. Do pour in, sir is there. So I'll not disturb you. So anyway. So it was very, like, a lot of waves was there, like cyber security to post market to brand marketing, then stages of performance marketing, then what are the platforms are there, how you keep yourself updated. I think a complete collaboration, and now we have a mind. So even if someone was not aware what exactly brand marketing or performance marketing before this session, I think probably like me, I also, as you said, from a healthcare professional, I also come from a healthcare professional, I'm into marketing. At least I would say 99% clear. So I don't know about others, but I am 99% clear what should be done, how should be done. And again, if there is anyone else who want to come, I think you are technical grounds, a lot of people are there, I can see. Any intuition, anything, throw up. Over to you guys.
You just been kind in this, but yeah, of course, I just touch point to multiple things, but I haven't gone deeper to it. But yeah, if there is anything, happy to. I think looks like everyone is quite clear.
Yes, with the sessions, as I mentioned, I think everything is already clear through them. You made it very simpler form. So over to Sonali. I think Sonali is good to go. Yeah. Sonali, you need to unmute yourself.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Inderjeet. It was good to have you, Varun sir. It was a very interactive session. Looking forward to having many such sessions in future. And with this, we conclude today's session. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Team BRATS. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Varun. It was really a great session. The touch points what you made, I think probably for every student, whoever is present here, would have given them at least an idea in terms of, what all those points are, and probably now they can come up with the better questions or other better options what they want to do with. So before we sign off, I think let's all just turn on their videos so that we can picture with Varun.
Exactly. I wanted to ask for that. Please, guys, come on.
Your mind is full. Now we need to see your pictures. We need to see your pretty face. I think the mind is full. We see better faces. The blood is flowing in. So guys,
happy faces. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Such a great class, man. I think you should come up by volunteering.
Yes. I can see happy faces, Abhishek, Indrajit. I think we are going to have you back, Varun, the way I can see all of them. Hopefully you have time from the school.
Obliged. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have, I've taken the pictures. So, yeah, it's done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Varun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.